The road had no name on any map. It twisted through the forest like something alive, narrow and dark, with trees pressing in from both sides. Their branches reached overhead and tangled together, blocking out the stars. Joseph kept both hands on the wheel. His wife Sarah sat beside him, her dead phone resting in her lap. In the back seat, their son Jack, just 8 years old, had fallen asleep against the window. Their daughter Janie, 14, sat beside him with her earphones around her neck, staring out at the black wall of trees sliding past. Then the engine coughed. Once, twice, and died. Joseph eased the car to a stop on a dirt shoulder. He closed his eyes for a moment, then he looked at the fuel gauge. The needle was flat against the bottom. "We're empty," he said. "I should have stopped at the last town." Sarah said nothing for a moment. Then, "You said we had enough." "I know what I said." Jack stirred in the back seat. "Are we home?" he asked, barely awake. Janie answered before anyone else could. "No, we broke down in the middle of nowhere." Joseph stepped out of the car. He turned on his flashlight and swept it through the dark. That's when he saw it, through a gap in the tree line half swallowed by overgrown brush. A house. 2 stories, rotting porch, shutters hanging loose, not a single light inside. He walked closer. An old mailbox stood near the path. No name, no number. The grass around the house was knee-high and uncut. The windows were filmed over with years of dust. Nobody had lived here for a long time. Joseph called back to the car. "There's a gas station about 2 miles past the forest. I'll walk there at first light. One night, that's all this is." Sarah looked at her sleeping son, then at the house, then at her husband. "One night," she said. The front door was unlocked. It swung inward with a long, grinding creak that seemed too loud in the silence. Joseph went in first, flashlight cutting through the dark. Dusty furniture, cobwebs hanging from every corner, wallpaper peeling off in curling strips, a faded rose pattern repeating and repeating down every wall, and the picture frames. There were 6 of them in the hallway, all turned face down, every single one. Jack reached up and took his father's hand. "Why are all the pictures facing down?" he whispered. "Old houses settle," Joseph said. "Things fall. It's nothing." Janie leaned close to her mother. "Someone put them like that on purpose," she said quietly. "Stop it," Sarah said. But she didn't look at the frames either. Joseph found 2 candles on the mantel and lit them. The family settled onto the dusty couches in the living room, pulling old blankets over themselves. Jack fell asleep quickly, curled against his mother. Janie sat upright, watching the shadows. The candles burned. The house breathed around them. And then the forest spoke. A sound rose from somewhere deep among the trees, low, rising, like an animal in pain, but wrong. Not quite a fox. Not quite anything any of them had heard before. It climbed in pitch and then stopped, completely, all at once. Jack didn't wake, but Janie's eyes were wide. "What was that?" she whispered. "Owl," Joseph said. "Maybe a fox." "That wasn't an owl, Dad." Before he could answer, a window on the far wall slammed open. Wind poured in. Leaves scattered across the floor. One of the candles went out. Joseph crossed the room and forced the window shut. He latched it. He turned back to his family, and a door at the end of the hallway creaked slowly open on its own. They stared at it. The darkness beyond was total. Joseph walked toward it. He pushed the door fully open. A closet. Empty except for a coat hook near the top. An old coat hung from it, swinging gently in the last of the draft. He exhaled. It was just the wind. The open window pulled it. He closed the door firmly. They settled again. Sarah leaned her head on his shoulder. Jack breathed steadily in his sleep. The remaining candle threw long, shifting shadows across the ceiling. Hours passed. Nobody slept. The candle burned lower. The wind outside moved through the trees in long, slow pulses like breathing. Then came the knocking. 3 slow, deliberate knocks at the front door. Knock, knock, knock. The family froze. No one moved. No one made a sound. A long silence. Then 3 more. Slower this time. Patient. Jack grabbed his mother's arm. "Mum." Joseph stood. "Stay here." "Joseph, don't." He was already moving. He crossed the hallway with the flashlight. He stood at the front door. He put his hand on the handle. He opened it. Nothing. The porch was empty. The tree line stood dark and still at the edge of the yard. Wind moved through the branches. Joseph stepped out and shone the light left, then right. He looked down. The porch boards were covered in a thick layer of pine needles, undisturbed. No footprints, no sign that anything or anyone had been there. He stepped back inside and locked the door. "Branch," he said, falling against the wood. Janey looked at him. He looked back at her. Neither of them believed it. But they sat down, and they said nothing more, and they waited for morning. The grey light came slowly. It pushed through the dirty windows an inch at a time, draining the darkness out of the corners of the room. The candle had burned down to nothing. The family sat huddled together on the couch, tangled and sleepless, watching the light grow. The first bird called from somewhere deep in the forest, then another, and another. Joseph stood up. "It's light enough," he said quietly. "I'm going." "How long?" Sarah asked. "An hour, maybe less." He looked at each of them in turn. "Lock the door behind me. Don't open it." Sarah nodded. He kissed her. He ruffled Jack's hair. He looked at Janey and she gave him a small, tight nod, the bravest thing he'd seen in a long time. He picked up the flashlight and walked out. The forest was different in daylight. Smaller somehow. The trees were just trees. The road was just a road. Joseph walked fast. The trees thinned ahead. Morning light came through in long, pale beams. And then, past the last line of pines, a faded sign appeared beside a small building at the side of the road. Countryside Fuel, open 6 a.m. He checked his watch. 6:04. A bell above the door jingled as he pushed inside. An old attendant sat behind the counter, a weathered man in his 70s reading a newspaper. He didn't look up right away. Joseph set his hands on the counter. "Gas can, whatever you've got." The old man lowered his paper. He looked at Joseph, at the dark hollows under his eyes, at the leaf dried into his jacket collar, at the way his hands weren't quite steady. "You sleep in the forest?" the old man asked. "Car ran out of gas. Found a house. Old place, near the bend in the road." The old man was quiet for a moment. He reached under the counter and set a red gas can between them. "That house has been empty for 20 years, he said. "Nobody stays there 2 nights running." He paused. "Folks that try—" He didn't finish the sentence. He slid the can across the counter. "You're smart to leave in the morning." Joseph stared at him. He wanted to ask. He decided he didn't want to know the answer. He paid. He took the can. He walked out without looking back. Sarah and the children were sitting on the porch steps when he returned, bags packed, ready in the morning light. They didn't ask what had taken him. They didn't talk about the night. There was nothing to say that would make any of it smaller. Joseph filled the tank. The engine turned over on the first try. The doors closed. Seatbelts clicked into place. He put the car in drive. As they pulled onto the road and picked up speed, Janey turned in her seat and looked back through the rear window. The house was already half hidden by trees, just visible between the trunks, dark and still in the morning light. And in the upstairs window, just for a moment, a shape stood behind the dirty glass. Still, watching them go. Janey turned forward. She said nothing to the others. She looked straight ahead at the road opening up before them, bright and wide and ordinary. "Don't look back," she said quietly to no one in particular. Joseph pressed the accelerator. The trees blurred past on both sides. The forest fell away behind them. The road stretched ahead, clean, open, leading home. They didn't stop. They didn't look back.